Phil and Will are back with another predictions episode. This will be for the final 11. Last week we didn't really learn much. We were hoping that last week would make our predictions a little bit easier because we were pretty damn off last week. But I'm pretty confident this week we're going to be pretty off. I don't know. I don't feel confident in anything.
I think this week's definitely easier than last week. That's
Well,
for
it's
sure.
easier, but it's not easy.
It's never easy. That's what makes this show so good. As soon as you think something's the case. I mean, I thought Kelly was for sure going to be safe. I know. I guess they really felt betrayed by her. That's what happened. I guess. I think targeting Mike. I mean, they literally had the power to boot anyone off of that alliance, and they chose Kelly, kind of for like this vendetta almost. And it like what if they could have targeted Mike, who's definitely the dragon, if you will.
Yeah, and they could Jen could have been the Dragon Slayer, and and Joe
That's
could have been
right.
the assistant coach.
Yeah. But Kelly goes. What are you gonna do? And now, yeah. Do you want to start this off? I think we're gonna have a similar top, and then at the bottom, it probably shakes out a
I
little
don't know
bit
if we're gonna
different.
have a similar top.
Okay. Okay. Go for it.
I don't know. There's two people that I have at the bottom that I'm worried, or three people I have at the bottom that I'm worried about. But at the top, my number one, I got Will because not because Will's in the best position in the game. Because if a no collar goes home, it's going to be Joe, Jen, or Haley. And if they can turn the tides, they're going to get rid of a blue collar and either Mike Rodney, Sierra, or, not Dan. And if a white collar goes, it's going to be Carolyn or Tyler. Shireen's safe, so I think Will is numero uno. I don't see any possible way Will goes home unless there's numerous idle plays, somebody splits a vote. I don't see how Will could ever go home this week.
The only way Will goes home is if we see one of those like Sarah votes from Cagayan where he kind of gets in the middle and then isn't really loyal to either side and they get wary. Like let's say the no callers somehow pull who are they pulling? They're pulling Carolyn and Tyler. Let's say they get them locked down. And this is hypothetical, of course. This is the prediction episode. So then you have Shireen, Joe, Jen, Haley, plus those two. That's six. Um, that could happen. They get tight, and maybe Mike wins immunity, and they want to get someone off. Will has proven that he can't be trusted with the Vince vote. Then he can't be trusted again. He votes against Haley, so they might want to we don't want anything to do with Will. It seems like he's likable enough around camp that he might be a little bit of a jury threat. And I know that's a stretch, and I do have Will high in my rankings as well, but that's the reason why I don't have him all the way at number one.
I mean, I think that if somehow it's split up the way we just said and Mike wins immunity, they would just vote out Rodney. I don't really see how Will goes. I mean, I'm
But
very
who's more of a jury threat, Rodney or Will?
yeah, but if you get
Who's
rid of
betrayed them?
Will could possibly go back to no collar. Rodney would never go to no collar. Rodney's a blue collar, and if he sticks with the blue collars at all, I mean, you got to dwindle the blue collar numbers. It's kind of like what happened with Beauty when they merged in Cagayan. They had the most numbers. They ended up getting picked off right after Sarah got voted out.
Yeah, I'm not saying I think Will's going. I don't have him at one. I'll go
Okay.
with my number one. I have Carolyn, and I'll go right with my number two. I have Tyler. I think no matter what happens, they're in the middle no matter what, and they're gonna pick the side, and they're gonna determine the vote again. I mean, if that idol wasn't played last week, that was completely in their hands, and I don't see blue collar and no collar in any way, shape, or form getting together to go against a white collar. So Carolyn, number one, just a little ahead of Tyler because she's less of a physical threat,
And she has an
and
idol.
she has not. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She's got the idol, and then Tyler just behind her, just because who's targeting Tyler right now? There's just too many. There needs to be more. You got to get rid of Tyler a little bit later when you have a definite group of numbers in a real alliance. Everything's kind of so shifty and shady right now because we really think Kelly was kind of holding Carolyn and Tyler on. I think they're kind of back in the middle now. So I think that's why they'll be safe.
Yeah, I mean, I have Carolyn and Tyler a little bit lower for no real. I think there's four people who are in trouble this week. and I'll get to them when I actually get down there. I think there's 4 people in trouble. Like, the only reason I don't have Carolyn at the top is because, once again, if word gets out that she has an idol and they want to blindside somebody before they can play the idol, that's what's going to happen. They're going to get rid of Carolyn. And this week, it looks like it's going to focus a lot on an immunity idol find. And somebody's got to find it, because Jeff hinted that somebody finds it and hides it and does it very well. So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, in the EW, in his EW, you got to read the Dalton Ross interview the day after.
I do. I read them sometimes. Sometimes they just give a little too much away. You know, I want to see what happens.
His tease for next week is never too bad. All he said was it's one of the best idol finds and hides. So, I mean, I don't even know if it's a play, but he says somebody finds it and hides it.
But the thing with Carolyn is that, like, the only person who knows that she has an idol is Tyler, and I don't see Tyler betraying Carolyn, not at this stage in the game, not with 11 people left. And I don't think word will get out that Carolyn has an idol. I don't think, unless Tyler really, really needs to for some reason.
Yeah, I think Tyler and Carolyn are in a really good position in this game as well. I mean, like I said, I have them lower in the rankings, and I'm not going to change them because I already did them. But, I mean, I completely understand why you have them at 1 and 2. They're really in like a running the show type position right now.
Right, and it's not like they're Jacqueline and John who just kind of found themselves here and they don't really know what to do with it. Like, these are smart players that have proven to kind of think strategically.
They wanted to be on the show.
Yeah, and they think ahead, and I think that they're not going to, mess up this kind of power position that they're in. I think they know what they're doing. And last week we said they probably went with Blue Collar because they think Blue Collar has, a lot weaker players that they can beat in the end. And that's why they sided with them.
Yeah, because, I mean, the no-collars, one of the people had commented that they don't like the no-collars. I forget who it was. They don't like the no-collars because they seem like a bunch of brats. I'm not getting that vibe at all from the no-collars. I feel like the no-collars are huge jury threats. If any of them make it to the end, they could win, including Will.
They seem very, friendly and nice and very relaxed, while Blue Collar have just been at each other's throats arguing since pretty much the first day of the show.
Yeah, they argue with everyone.
If anyone's a brat, it's like Rodney or Dan, or maybe even Sierra. I mean, they've been yapping at each other since day one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how Haley's a brat. I could see how Jen's a brat, but I think Jen likes being a brat.
But she's like a sarcastic, snarkier.
Yeah.
She's not like annoying about it, and there's 2 sides to your Survivor personality. It's what you say to the camera, and then what you show to other people. And it doesn't seem like she's getting on anyone's nerves all that much. Her confessionals can be very kind of mean, if you will, but she doesn't go over to someone's face, and it's like with the whole thing.
She reminds me of Tyson and Courtney because she'll say the snarkiness to the camera, and even Brian Heidick. They say the snarkiness to the camera, and then when they're actually in a situation, Courtney almost won, Tyson has won, and Brian Heidick won because. They're all villains. They would have, if Brian Heidick came back and played, he would have been a villain. Tyson and Courtney were both on the villains tribe. 2 of those people won. The other one almost won. They're obviously playing a game there, and I think that's what Jen's doing. And you cannot like her sarcasm, but really it's more of realisticness more than anything. She's being realistic about everything she says.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, who do you have at number 2?
Believe it or not, man, and this might be ridiculously high, but I just don't see how he goes. I have Dan.
That's not ridiculous at all.
It's just, when I look at my rankings right now, I got Will at 1 and Dan at 2. And
those are the power players, man.
They are, man. I mean, the thing with Dan right now.
But they're in the best position almost because they aren't power players. They aren't threats.
Yeah, because are they really going to get rid of Dan before they get rid of Rodney or before they get rid of Mike? It's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen.
Yeah. Anything else on Dan?
No, I don't think there needs to be anything else. That's all there is to say about Dan.
Okay. I will go with number 3. I have Shireen. And I think it's not like there's this a kind of small alliance of no cause. It's now 4. And so even if one of them wins immunity, there's 3 possible targets, and I think Shireen, no matter what, is not the target. So let's say Joe wins, they're going to target Jen or Haley. Shireen's fine. If Jen or Haley wins, then Joe is clearly the obvious target. I don't think, and Shireen's also been proven to be really annoying and not that much of a jury threat. And so people might say, why, let's just drag Shireen through here. I don't fear for her whatsoever.
Yeah, I have Shireen at number 4. So one spot behind you. Because why? There's no reason to get rid of Shireen. She's probably in the worst position out of all the white collars. But at the same time, if she's going to team up with the no collars, she kind of bought herself time more than anything. Because they would get rid of all 3 no collars before they get rid of Shireen.
Or at least one, just at least one of them.
Yeah,
for this
they
week.
want to get rid of Joe and Jen. I don't think they're viewing Haley as much of a threat as they should be. So I think they really want to get rid of Joe and Jen. So why wouldn't they? There's no reason to target Shireen at all right now.
Right. So yeah, I have my top 3. I go Carolyn, Tyler, Shireen. The only 3 white collar players remaining. They're in the middle. That's how it works.
It's funny how this worked out here, because what you have in your top 3 here, when Cagayan merged, there were 3 brains left. And those 3 brains were never in trouble until the game started getting down a little bit. At the very beginning, maybe Spencer, but Cass and Tasha weren't going anywhere. Like right at the beginning of that merge. They wanted to get rid of LJ and, Jeremiah, because they were bigger threats.
Right, right.
But anyway, I had Shireen at 4. My 3 is Sierra. Same thing with Dan. I don't see why Sierra goes this week. They have Mike, they have Rodney. If Mike finds an idol, they vote out Rodney. If Rodney finds an idol, they vote out Mike. If Mike finds an idol and Rodney wins immunity, Sierra might go. So it's a little bit of a risk here. But I'm confident in whatever the hell it is. It's not going to be a weightlifting competition, so Rodney's not going to win the challenge, and I don't think Rodney's going to find the idol. I really don't. I think they're playing up Mike to kind of find it, I feel like.
Yeah, I could definitely see Mike finding an idol for sure. That wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me if Rodney found it. But Sierra,
yeah, exactly.
Sierra, for some reason, just like screams to me like middle merge, early merge boot. Like this would just be like the time for her to go. You know what I mean?
She reminds me 100% of Whitney Duncan from South Pacific.
Where it was like that season from my memory. So
okay, but this is what happens. The Cochran flip. So Ozzy gets voted out. Then it's like Jim Rice went, Keith went, and then I think Whitney went. Like there's bigger threats. Sierra's not a huge gamer. She's probably the least prominent player left in the game, like least visible player. So I feel
the thing with Sierra is she seems athletic enough, likable enough that if people are worried about idols, she might be that like, oh, they're not going to play an idol for Sierra.
Yeah.
Let's target her. So that's my thing with Sierra. I don't have her as high. What is that? You have her at 3?
Yeah, I have her at 3.
Yeah, I think that's a little high. I don't necessarily think she's like on the bottom by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Sierra go.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's 4 people in trouble. So I kind of put this together, and it was kind of like when I put Dan, what went through my mind was, well, might as well put Sierra next because I really don't think Sierra's going anywhere for the same reasons as Dan. Mike and Rodney are just too big of threats. And then even if the no collars, if Mike wins immunity and Rodney were to find an idol, they might try to go after one of the swing votes like a Tyler or Carolyn. And I don't think they can pull those numbers.
I don't think they go after a swing vote because if they don't have Tyler and Carolyn, they don't have any numbers.
I don't think they can get the numbers. I don't think they're going to get the numbers this week.
I mean, I hope they do. That we don't want to see a predictable boot, but that could easily happen. I'll go with my 4th. I have Will, still high like you have him. I don't have him at 1, like the reasons I described earlier, just because he has proven to be untrustworthy to the no callers twice now. He's not really in with either group, but he's not necessarily a swing either. So if there are idols and there are kind of everyone's worried about who has one, Will probably falls into that category of he definitely doesn't have an idol. That would be a safe vote. Get rid of someone who is proven to be against us. Again, it's kind of a reach. I'm at 4. I'm just trying to lay it out there why he could go home.
Yeah, I don't think like I have Will at 1. I don't see why Will would go. There's Will is even if Will is a jury threat, he's so what the hell's the word right here? I can't even think of it. He's so unintimidating right now. Like there's nothing about Will that screams he's going to win this game.
He lacks a presence.
Yes, and you can get rid of Will at any time, I feel like. Like, Will's never going to win an immunity challenge. And if he does, he'll win one. You get rid of him next time. He's not going to find an idol. He's just kind of out there drifting in the middle somewhere. I think he could be a jury threat if he makes it to the end because he's a very likable guy. But right now, why get rid of him now when you could get rid of somebody who's a Mike, a Joe, a Jen, a Rodney, even a Haley,
A Sierra. Right.
Even a Tyler or Carolyn. I know that they're in the middle and they're in a good position, but, like, I would get rid of them before I got rid of Will.
Not if you need them. Not if you need them.
Yeah.
Because think about it right now. These no callers plus Shireen, that 4, and this is minus Will. It's an 11-person tribe. They absolutely need Carolyn and Tyler. If they target them in any way, they have no chance at getting the numbers, unless they swing over a blue collar, but that's proven to be very difficult. And we see that Rodney is definitely stirring something up this week.
Well, at 5, I have Carolyn, and at 6, I have Tyler. And what I could see happening here is...
Wait, who'd you have at 4?
I had Shireen at 4.
Okay.
And then 5, I have Carolyn. 6, I have Tyler. Here's what I could see happening. Let's say that these 4 no-collars, let's say Joe wins immunity and Jen finds an idol again, which, like I said, I think Mike's going to find the idol. And all the blue collars, they can't get Carolyn and Tyler, and all the blue collars are coming down hard on them. I could see them getting rid of targeting either Carolyn or Tyler, knowing that Jen's going to get the votes, saving Jen, saving Joe, getting rid of either Carolyn or Tyler because they're a swing vote, but they'll never swing to the no-collars. Like, if they don't swing this week and somehow the no-collars can get rid of them, why not get rid of them when the blue collars have shown, they normally stick together, but they've also been very abrasive towards each other.
Right. So you're saying the no collars could target them. It wouldn't be from the no, or the blue collars would target them.
Almost like the same thing how Kelly went home. It's like the no collars didn't need the numbers. They were just like, we're going to target Kelly. Jen's going to play her idol. Joe won, so everybody's safe. So we'll target Kelly to get her out. This week, if that same thing were to play out, Joe wins immunity, Jen finds the idol, because, like I said, Jeff said somebody's going to find the idol. If Joe wins immunity, Jen finds the idol, and they can't swing Carolyn and Tyler, they might just say, forget it. Let's get rid of one of them, break up that pair. That's a power couple.
But don't all the blue collars just aim at Haley? And then it doesn't even matter what no collar wants to do?
It depends on if they know Jen finds it and if they can kind of play the game with Jen here. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on if they know Jen finds it or if they think Haley might have found it. Like, it really depends.
Yeah.
Idols are tricky.
No, they are. I feel like Carolyn and Tyler are just too necessary right now to either because they're 2 votes. It's not like there's one person that can kind of that's floating. It's 2 people. So they're powerful. You want them on your side. You don't want to be, especially if you target them, they find out. It's not good news. I would be surprised to see one of them go. It would have to take something pretty crazy. I'm
trying to kind of pull at straws as to why I have them at 5 and 6. But like I said, there's 4 people I think can go. Carolyn and Tyler aren't one of the 4 that I think are going to go.
Okay. I will go now. I have Dan at 5. You hit Dan on the head here. The only reason I don't have him like at 2 like you do is because he is now Mike's right-hand man. So if Mike wins immunity, if Mike wins finds an idol, and no callers somehow swing Carolyn and Tyler like we've been talking about, Dan might be a target. It's weird in this game. This game so far, there's been so many pairs that have been targeted and split up. That's been pretty much the idea, I think, behind every vote, maybe except for Nina. If you look at, it was So and Joaquin. They got rid of So.
Vince and
maybe
Nina.
Vince and Nina, maybe. I don't know. That doesn't really count. I mean, you look at Max. He was too close with Shireen. They were a couple. We saw Joaquin and Rodney. They were a couple. Mike and Kelly. They were a couple.
Well, and they wanted to get rid of Jen last week because Jen and Haley were a couple.
Exactly. That's another couple. So if Mike and Dan, who they have been tight since day one, and Rodney knows this, if Dan is viewed as like Mike's right-hand man, this couple again, he could be targeted. I don't think he will be because he's such a non-threat, but that's why I have him at 5 instead of all the way up at 2.
Okay. No, I completely get that. I just don't see Dan. He's kind of like Will. Why?
Yeah, why you have so many other people in this game. I hear you. That's just my reasoning for not having him as high as you have.
So who do you have at 6? Because I had Tyler.
6. I have Sierra. I already talked about Sierra, so I don't need to go into it. Just because she might be a blue collar that's targeted because of idols and things and such. So you can go for it at 7.
Yeah, our bottom 5 we kind of agree on then.
Yeah, looks that way.
Because we got all those 6 out of the way. At 7, I have Haley, and she's the outside shot to go this week, but she's one of the people I consider not in trouble. The only way she goes is if Jen finds an idol, they know Jen has the idol, or they're like, Jen probably got an idol, let's get rid of Haley because Joe wins immunity. But they're definitely going to target Joe and Jen before they target Haley. So I really don't feel like Haley's in that much trouble, but she could definitely go home this week.
Yeah, I'll get to Haley when I get there. I'll respond to that. I'll go with my 7th pick or ranking, and it is Mike. And Mike is just, you would think he'd be lower. You think he'd be a bigger threat. We think he's going to find the idol. Someone finds the idol. He's kind of the leader of this alliance that seems to have a lot of power, a lot of numbers.
Seems like Rodney's going to try to turn on him.
Yeah, if you're going to take Rodney or Mike in a strategy numbers battle, you take Mike every time. It's yet to be seen. I'd love to see Rodney pull a move, but we haven't seen him be successful with really anything except the Lindsay vote. Mike he's a threat to win immunity. He's getting such a powerful, strong edit. Right now, I think he's the winner of this season. So while it would make sense to have him target number 1 out of all the blue collars, I still have him at 7 just because it would be a huge blindside. I'd love to see Mike go. I think that would be an exciting way for the season to turn. But he has a lot of people that like him, a lot of power. He's strong. I feel like he's the winner, honestly.
I have Mike at 8, and I definitely get what you're saying with the winner vibes. I have Mike at 8, and kind of like what you were saying, like Mike isn't. If somehow they do target a blue collar and Rodney has immunity, I think Mike's the one they get rid of. But I don't see Rodney winning immunity, and I don't see them targeting Mike over Rodney. And I think Rodney's going to try really hard to get rid of Mike this week. And I feel like Mike's going to find an idol, and I wouldn't be surprised if he blindsides Rodney out of this game this week. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at all.
Yeah, I fear for Rodney this week. I feared from last week, but it's Rodney's time is coming soon unless we see him with these great plans. This 4 that kind of came out of nowhere last week of people that didn't really have any ties or alliances to each other. Each person that he brought in kind of had something else going on. He talks about how he's going to run the game, make moves. I want to see it, Rodney. And yeah. I fear that we haven't seen it yet. We won't see it ever, and that his time is certainly coming to an end fairly soon. At number 8, I have Haley. I don't really know what else to say. Joe wins immunity. Jen finds the idol. Vice versa. There you go, Haley.
Yeah.
They're in the minority. It's clear that Joe, Haley, Jen are on the bottom. I don't have her in the bottom 3. I have Rodney right. I'll just go. Rodney's right below her. I have Haley at 8. Rodney at 9. Just because Rodney is stirring so many things up that he's going to get caught at some point. You'd think.
Yeah.
He's also a physical threat. Yeah. I don't. Like I said, I don't feel Rodney is safe this week.
I have Rodney at 9 too, and I don't think Rodney's safe, and I think that Rodney keeps trying to make all these big moves, and it's going to bite him in the ass eventually because he's not as smart as he thinks he is. He might be a good player. I just haven't seen.
Yeah, I want to see one of these things that he talks about come through and him actually be successful. It's like every tribal, I just see him shaking his head at the end, going, "Oh, what's going on?" I want to see it.
Every time he goes to tribal, he looks shocked that the person went home.
Exactly, and it sucks because I want to see something cool. I just don't think. I think if anyone besides a no caller goes home, Jen, Joe, Haley, it's going to be Rodney.
Yeah, I agree. So do you have Jen at 10 and Joe at 11?
That is correct.
That's what I have. So there you go. Joe is in trouble this week, If Joe doesn't win immunity, I think Joe's a goner. I think that this Rodney Mike thing might not come to a head till next week, because even if Mike and Rodney are fighting with each other, you got to think if Joe doesn't win immunity, they got to get him out of this game as fast as possible, because Joe could seriously go on a Terry Colby immunity run and run his way straight to the end of the game. And if he gets to the end, there's no way Joe loses. And if Joe can get the numbers on his side, there's no way that Joe loses. Like, if Joe can get the numbers on his side with Jen and Haley, and they don't get rid of him, and somehow they all just, the no-callers just keep hanging around, man, he could dominate that final three, even if he's against Jen and Haley. He really could dominate it.
Yeah, I don't think Jen and Haley would let him get to final three. I think they're savvy enough to say, look, we're going to turn our back on Joe at some point. I think now they just have so few numbers they need Joe. Like 100%, they need Joe. They've been together since day one. If he doesn't win immunity, it's almost like, for this season especially, we have not had that many predictable boots, which is awesome in a season. If one were to come right now after we had this exciting merge episode with an idol, I wouldn't be that disappointed. I wouldn't say that's lame. I mean, predictable boots happen, especially right after a merge where numbers kind of fizzle out. And if we're looking at who voted with who last week, it is a 7-4 advantage for this blue collar. And Joe is that big of a threat where if he doesn't win, it's very, very, very likely he's the one going home.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest Joe fan. I'm not a huge Joe fan. It's not that I don't like Joe. There's just something about him. That I'm really not a huge fan of. And yeah, somebody just tweeted that the immunity challenge, or not tweeted, Steel Punch says the immunity challenge is a balance challenge. That's what CBS Preview said. So Rodney's not winning that. But there's just something about Joe that I don't like personally. Like, I just don't know what it is, but if he gets voted out this week, I wouldn't be that disappointed, because then the Jen Haley storyline, they're going to have to make moves right now. Jen Haley and Shireen are going to have to make moves. What I want to know right now is, when is this huge twist coming? When is this coming? Like, this needs to be coming soon, because that might be what saves them. I don't think it's going to be this week, but it's got to be next week.
It's this week, man. If it's not this week, then what? Where are they waiting? You can't introduce it when there's. I mean, I guess when there's 10 people left, yeah, but it seems like we had their merge, get the merge over with. We're now into the jury. This is the time where we have to see it, come to fruition here. It's been teased too much.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we need to see it. Like, I'm waiting. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and now would be a perfect time to do it, because it clearly looks like Joe, Jen, and Haley are in the most trouble. So this should be a perfect time for them to throw it in.
Not that they don't. I mean, production.
Well, no, I mean, they already have it planned, but they kind of assume that at Final 11, after that first merge boot, it gets a little predictable. Like, the next two votes might be a little predictable, so they might try to throw it in here. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep, and someone commented on our last video that the compass and the immunity idol, and I saw that on Reddit too, that might have something to do with it. I'm still thinking that the new shelter has something to do with it. That was too random, too weird. I think something is buried there where they just built their shelter. The compass might not be a normal compass that points north. It might point to idol buried. I have no idea. But I just want to see it at this point. We've been talking about this since our season 30 preview, before the cast assessment, before the cast videos even came out. We were like, what is it? What is it? And we're going on episode 8 here, and we still don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. I want to know. I want to see it. Do you want to start getting into other predictions, just comments from the last video, comments from this video? Because Steel Punch also said he thinks Dan will find the idol because of Jen's magic, and Blue Collar will vote out Haley. That'd be cool. I hope Jen really has magical powers. And then just on this video, Yellow Swag Reed says Will could go home because he doesn't trust Blue Collar, but No Collar doesn't trust him. I mean, Will is in the middle. Will's in the precarious middle position as compared to Carolyn and Tyler.
Yeah, but he's still in the middle, which is always good, because
always good.
Even if you don't trust someone, it's like you kind of like have to. We see it all the time. So people, you can have this huge betrayal, stabbed in the back, what have you, fights, and then it gets down. There's only a certain amount of people left on this island that you can use as votes. And when it comes down to it, you need to stay in the game. It's Survivor. You need to survive. No callers will welcome Will back, I think, with open arms, if he wants to. And if he proves that he doesn't want to, then that's where he could be in danger.
Yeah, it's true. And I think they will welcome him back, though, if he tries.
Oh, for sure. You have to. If you're in the no callers and you only have Shireen right now, you're scraping at anything you can get.
Yeah, because right now Shireen doesn't bring anybody with her. Will possibly could. I mean, Will doesn't really, but he possibly could. He could possibly, who knows? But Shireen doesn't really have anybody, and I think she's made that very clear that she doesn't have anybody.
That's right. Do you want to get into other predictions now?
Yeah, let's go back to the what do you call it? The last video. I guess I'll just go. I'll go from the top. If you want to just start with John Doe's prediction.
Do it.
John Doe prediction: Joe goes to Ponderosa next week, guaranteed. So that's not a prediction; that's a guarantee. Who do I want to win the game? Mike. Who do I think will win the game? Tyler or Carolyn? P.S. I hate the no-collar tribe. They seem like a bunch of brats. So it was John Doe who said that the no-collar tribe seemed like a bunch of brats. I'm not getting that at all. I feel like more people dislike Mike than dislike Joe, Jen, and Haley.
I feel like more people dislike like Dan or Sierra, because they've been shown yelling, or Rodney, like he's misogynistic. Just that I think that's where the hate.
I'm just curious about the whole. I'm curious about the whole brats thing. Like, do you think that they're brats just because like they have like that they don't give a shit attitude? Like, is that kind of why? Like, I mean, I don't see them as brats. I don't really know what brat means. I know they were little dolls back in the day, but like I don't really. Like, is it because they just really don't seem to care and they're just kind of out there having a good time? Like, I really don't know. Like, Mike is the stereotypical survivor alpha male. Like, he is like, everybody can root for him. He's from Texas. He's Colby Donaldson, but with a raspy voice and not as good at challenges. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's who everybody wants to root for. Is it because Joe, Jen, and Haley are kind of like these younger, like, not your natural rooting interest?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard do you root for someone, Phil? I feel like we just read into so much and we rank these players and we podcast. It's like, are you really rooting for somebody?
This season.
Yeah, like who are you rooting for right now?
I want Jen to win. If Jen doesn't win, I want Haley or Mike to win. Those are my three favorites. Seriously.
Yeah, I want Jen.
And my thing is, if Tyler wins the game, I like Tyler. But if Tyler wins the game, I don't like him as a winner. For some reason, like, I like Tyler, and I like the way he's playing this game.
See, I like Tyler a lot. I think he'd be a really cool winner. Same with Carol, too.
Okay, I guess it's kind of hard to explain why I don't root for Tyler as hard, because Tyler's kind of like he's like a Brendan, like from Tocantins, where it's like there's better characters than him on the show.
Dude, Brendan was like a little delusional. He thought he was in power.
No. I'm not saying anything about his delusional or anything like that. I'm not really saying so much personality. I'm saying that Tyler right now is about the fourth or fifth best character on this show. Whereas there's just better people and there's more polarizing people that you either want to root for or want to root against. Tyler just kind of falls in the middle.
Yeah, Tyler, he's kind of been a little quiet for a winner.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it, though. I do like Tyler.
Who do you root for, then? Who are you rooting for this season?
For Jen. She is my preseason pick. She's my gold flare. She is on my fantasy team. She's, in my blue list #1.
Throw all that out. If you were just watching the season, it was like last season where we didn't have any of that.
I'd root for Jen.
Would you still be rooting for Jen?
Yeah, I'd root for Jen.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think, last season, like, if you want to really talk about that, because, I mean, everybody knows kind of how we feel about these characters on this season. Last season, I was rooting for Josh. And I know a lot of people didn't like Josh. I was rooting for Josh the whole time. I didn't like Jeremy. I didn't like anybody who made it to, like, the final six.
I didn't like anybody enough. I
was rooting for Josh. That's the only one I was rooting for.
Okay. Let's move on to some other predictions here. I guess Jeremy.
Yep.
I like Jeremy.
I didn't like Jeremy. I don't know. It's not that once again, it's not like that I don't like him. It's just when I'm talking about who I'm rooting for, Josh is just more of the type of player I root for. Jeremy's more of like, I wouldn't mind if he won, but at the same time, like, there's better characters. Although last season there weren't better characters. Like, whatever. I was rooting for Dale. There you go.
Okay. So we have a whole power rankings from Yellow Swagreed.
Yeah.
So this is cool. Another power rankings to compare ours to. Yellow has Carolyn, Sierra, Tyler, and Dan 1 through 4, and that's the safe tier. And then not 100% safe is Shireen, Will, and Mike. And then in danger, Haley, Jen, Joe. And then Yellow says my super awesome prediction, Rodney at the bottom at 11.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rodney went. It's more like I'm going up against you, and Joe is the safe bet this week. That's why I kind of put Joe at the bottom. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rodney went home.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see Rodney go home. I mean, I'd like to see him make a move, but I'd like to see him get, totally.
I'm gonna be honest.
Too.
I would like to see one of those top 7 go home. That would be cool. Like, I would like to see a huge blindside this week.
Of course. We root for that. I mean,
every week.
The power rankings.
Don't let Jen go home.
The power rankings are almost the higher the person is, the more you actually want it to happen, because that's the most.
If Will goes home this week and I had him at number 1, I would be ecstatic because I'd be like, well, I didn't see that coming at all.
Right. Maybe we should just do reverse all the time, so that when we get excited about something that happens on the show, it means good things for our power rankings.
Yeah. You've pretty much been doing reverse the whole season.
Man, Kelly though.
Yeah, Kelly's a killer.
Okay, so Ice Boy 1221 was the one who mentioned any chance the compass on the immunity necklace leads to the idol. There is a chance. That would be super cool. I don't know if Survivor's that cool. Hopefully.
They're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool, but like that would be. I'd be impressed if that. The thing is, this advantage is not idle. I don't think. Like, it's something they haven't done before. It's crazy. I just don't. I have no idea what it is.
I hear you. I don't know. I'll read Pink Dolphins. Kelly. No Collar was smart to get rid of Kelly because she was the glue between Mike and Carolyn. I could see that. Predictions: either Mike or Dan goes home. Not really thinking that. I mean, I could see one of them going home. That's a pretty bold prediction right now, to be honest. Like, I think that's a bold prediction.
That is a very bold prediction.
Now, note, this is the worst season of Survivor ever. That, my friends, is what's called a troll. This is not the worst season of Survivor ever. And there's no evidence to back that up. There's no way that this is the worst season of Survivor ever.
Great season. I mean, if you think San Juan del Sur is a better season than this so far, you aren't. You're not human.
I mean, Jamie Sleeper went on to defend the entire thing. We don't really have to get into that, but Pink Dolphins is. I mean, I like
Jamie Sleeper's comment a lot. He says, "I have to totally disagree with you. If No Collar was smart, they would have gotten rid of Mike because he is the glue to that entire alliance. I'm sure Kelly had nothing to do with Tyler and Carolyn siding with Blue Collar. I think Kelly did have a good relationship
with Carolyn,
so that might have helped. But Mike is certainly would have been the better move. Take out the you can get rid of Kelly any week, Take out Mike, who is a strategic and physical threat. And it's not like Kelly was untrustworthy and just totally betrayed them. She was upfront about it at least. It's not like she played them. If Kelly had said, "Yeah, I'm voting with you guys. I'm gonna go undercover to the Blue Collar," that'd be very shady and untrustworthy. Kelly was kind of straight up, "Yeah, I'm back with my old people. They're my homies." So I think Mike definitely would have been the smarter move.
Yeah, and I think Carolyn liked Kelly more. I mean, that could be a good reason, but I think Mike would have been a smarter move too. Mike's, like you said, Mike's getting the winners out of here.
That's true.
Do you want to keep reading that, or?
Sure. Yellow Swagreed. Still don't know how to pronounce this. Yeah, Swagreed.
I guess.
That's just a rant about. Not a rant. A list of.
It's not a rant. It's how he thinks Carolyn should be MVP.
A list of arguments about Carolyn being MVP. In any other episode, that probably would have been enough to warrant an MVP, but Jen was just...
Jen played the idol and saved herself.
Yeah, just great things all around. And one of the arguments was that Carolyn was second place in the challenge. Jen was third. She was right there, and she got stung by a bee. And
she got stung in the hoo-ha.
Yeah. So Jen's got MVP. Squire Whitney says, not really rooting for no callers, actually. I'm fairly ambivalent toward them. Mike and Tyler are my favorites and have been for several weeks.
You know what?
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Tyler and Mike are definitely fan favorites.
I'm going to say this is why this season is so good, is because people are rooting for everyone. The only ones really, I mean, people are rooting for Shireen. As crazy as it is, people are rooting for Shireen to win this game. Like, I have seen that on Twitter. I mean, she was a preseason favorite, so people still haven't let go of that. I think that's why this season is so good right now and not the worst ever, because everybody has a good case to be rooted for. I mean, you can root for Dan because he's almost like he's like the buffoon who really doesn't ever win the game, and it's like, oh, maybe he's going to win this time. Like, maybe he can overcome it. And there's a reason really to root for everybody who's still on this cast, and I think that's why if you say you're not rooting for somebody, you're not wrong. You know, I just personally root for the no-callers and Mike.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for the no-callers, and I like Mike too. I like him enough.
I mean, I like Carolyn a lot too.
It's cool that there's not like this clear group that you should be rooting for, and they're going to build a story about them winning. It's cool. Yeah, like you said, it's very up in the air, and there's a lot of good characters and good, smart players.
That's what we want.
All right, you want to read the next one?
Solomon Belay says, I hope Rodney goes next because he's annoying and thinks he knows how to play this game, although I will miss his reaction when the votes don't go his way. Go Joe. So there's a Joe fan. And that was right after somebody had said that they don't particularly like the no-callers. So, I think what everybody kind of agrees on here is Rodney is probably the best character on this season right now, but everybody wants to see him go home.
Or make a move. He's not going to win, that's the thing.
They want something to happen with Rodney that's not just him constantly being confused.
Yeah, I love his quotes. I mean, he's so much fun to watch.
He's got multiple personality, man. Last week he was Scottie Pippen, or he might think he was actually Michael Jordan. I mean, he's Tom Brady all the time.
All the time.
He changes who he is a lot, though. I mean, I like the name drops, man. He's got to have the record for most name drops of any survivor of all time.
All right. Let's see. Christopher Dosset, I think that's how you pronounce it. There was no indication that Shireen, Tyler, and Carolyn were together. There was no interaction. Carolyn would have been pretty sure that Shireen was with them.
I think that them means no callers.
Yeah. So I think he's saying...
That was because I brought it up last week that they might have talked. And Carolyn might have said to Shireen, hey, we're voting for Jen.
Yeah, I think he's saying, because this is one I brought up, do you think Shireen knew they were voting for Jen, and then Shireen told Jen to play the idol? How did Jen know? Was it kind of a blind, I don't want to go home, I have this idol, and I'm just unsure? Or was it like, I know I'm going home? We still don't really know. Christopher here is saying Shireen was so clear on the no callers that Carolyn probably didn't spill that, or Tyler didn't spill that. So yeah, well, maybe we'll find out this episode about that. I wonder, or at least when Jen either wins or has her exit interview, we can hear why she played the idol. If she definitely knew, or was it kind of just a gut?
Hopefully Jen never has an exit interview. Hopefully it's a winner's interview.
Hopefully, yeah. It's the reunion show.
You know what it is too, though. I think a lot of times the only young women who have ever won the show are the only really young woman who ever won was Jenna Maraska. And I think a lot of times,
Wait, what was that?
I'm just trying to say, I think, a lot of times that the reason that people might not be rooting for Jen and Haley, people have an easier time rooting for, the older and the wiser. And I feel like
we see young hot chicks kind of win a lot, I feel like.
No.
Really?
Who was the last young hot chick to win? Natalie in her 30s.
I feel like Jenna... they're not necessarily really young, but we have Jenna, Parvati, Natalie, Danny, Kim, all good-looking bikini chicks.
But what I'm saying is Jen and they didn't have the personality that Jen and Haley have right now, and I think that it's kind of I think a lot of people don't like to see that type of personality, and we like it because that's our age group and that's our type of stuff, but I know my parents aren't rooting for Jen. they're rooting for Joe. They're not rooting for Jen. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people have an easier time rooting for somebody like Joe or Malcolm than they do like Jen or Haley. I don't know. That's just a stray observation that's probably completely wrong, but I could see that being like a little bit of the reason. Like Jen and Haley might just be too no collar for everybody.
Great way to throw that in there, Phil.
You're welcome.
Jeff would be proud.
I know. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but I just, you know.
No, I feel like that happens all the time with Survivor. You root for the people that you kind of
Associate
relate to a little bit. Yeah, like it's not just this season. I think that's any season.
I mean, if you look at it though, like nobody was rooting for Jenna Maraska. They were all rooting for Matt or Rob. Nobody was really rooting for Danny.
I feel like Heidi was the more interesting of the two. Like,
yeah. Nobody was rooting for Natalie White to win. I mean, people were rooting for Natalie White, but I mean, most of the people watching the show were rooting for Russell.
Well, that's because they shoved Russell down our throats.
Well, yeah. We'll get. I mean, we can. That whole Survivor 31 thing that might be coming up. I mean, I liked that one of the people might have been added because that was cool.
Wait, who? Monica? Yeah, I'd see Monica.
I really liked Monica, and that was the worst edited season of all time.
Right.
That's for another day.
And just about season 31 or 30, I guess it's 31. We're thinking.
They're saying they're shooting it after 31, but then they're airing it first.
Okay, which hasn't happened before. So once all the names come out for that, I know most of them right now. Once those all come out and they're confirmed and official, we will do a podcast on who we want to see back, who you should vote for.
Yes.
We'll argue probably about players in why we want them to see them back, why we don't. So look forward to that whenever we get to vote.
If you don't know what we're talking about right now, which I'm sure if you're listening to a Survivor podcast, you know exactly what we're talking about, but supposedly there's going to be like a voting pool and America's going to vote from 20 players who've played once or something like that.
Yeah, one-time players only, no winners.
Kind of like what our one-time player draft was. And I was pretty on it. If that is like actually who you can pick between, my little team was pretty on. I think there were like 6 or 7 people who have been on there. Greg Buis.
Yeah, he'll be on. He'll definitely be on.
Greg Buis.
My team, I feel like 3 Gabon people. They're in 3 token teams maybe.
I'm sure you had people who said no as well, though, like Ian Rosenberg. I'm sure they probably tried to ask him, and he probably just said no. But we don't really know everything about that yet.
Yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of people said no. They can't do it, don't want to do it again. It's a big, it's a big thing to go through playing the game of Survivor. I'd love to go. They should have me on. Should have you on, Phil.
They should have me on.
Yeah,
or
no
Greg Buis is every person
Gabon so far.
What's up?
No Gabon so far. We're kind of rambling off track here. Do we have any more predictions? I see some MVP votes.
A lot of it was MVP. Julio Lowe said, my prediction for next week is I think that Jen and Haley's alliance are on the bottom. Probably get Carolyn and possibly Tyler to flip over. Stupid Rodney will target Mike and get himself voted out. We pretty much talked about how that's probably how Rodney goes home this week, and we wouldn't be shocked if that happens at all. We've hit on that a lot. One more prediction, or 2 more I want to read. Steel Punch again. Dan is going to win. Dan will find a way. Another thing I noticed is that they went to the Escondido Beach, or the former Blue Collar Beach. No one found an idol on that beach, so Jen's Magic will give Dan an idol. He really likes this whole Jen's Magic.
Yeah. I guess he's rooting for. So we have someone rooting for Dan as well. There you go. There's people that really proves that hits it home when people are rooting for Dan.
Yeah, it's true because last season it was like 6 people you could root for, and even then that was pushing it. Like this season, you can root for anybody who's been voted. People are rooting for Kelly. People are rooting for Max. I mean, nobody really wanted Max. People are rooting for Joaquin. People, a lot of people to root for.
Yeah. Anything else here? We're kind of rambling on a bit.
Well, we got so sidetracked. That season 31 stuff is probably the most exciting stuff that's happened in a really long time.
Right. And just the deeper we get into the season, the less time we spend ranking the players, just because there's less of them, and we know the characters better, things shape up. So yeah. Anything else, Phil?
I mean, I'll just leave everybody with Greg Buis. Greg Buis.
Please, Greg Buis.
Yeah, vote Greg Buis. I don't think I'll ever promote anybody. If it actually is a vote and Greg Buis' name is on there, I'm sorry to every other guy, but I won't vote for them because I'm just going to keep voting Greg Buis. So Greg Buis gets on.
It'll be interesting to see how the voting works. If it's I saw something on Reddit about head-to-head potentially. Some of them might already be locks by production that are going in anyway. We don't know the full story.
Yeah.
These are all like speculations. Nothing's really official yet. It's all coming from Redmond, which he's super reliable source, but we don't know the full extent of how the voting will take place. So once we have for sure, we know the specifics of what's going to happen, we will break it down.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's soon. I think it will be soon because they're going to announce the cast at the season 30 reunion show. So that's only a few weeks away. Supposedly, again. Yeah,
because once again, it's one-time players who haven't won, and the problem is right now they're saying that there's 5 season 30 people who are in the running, but that would also give away who doesn't win the season.
And you'd have to think at least 3 of those are going to be post-merge.
Yeah, he said that one was pre-merge. I'm
just
thinking
one. So we're going to have
one.
to.
That's what he said. Just one.
So we're going to have to wait a maximum
of another 4 weeks.
That doesn't seem. Or maybe they'll save those. We'll hold them back or something. I don't know. It seems like we're going to wait 4 weeks minimum. That's only if the 4 go out right in a row. Because we're thinking Kelly is not going to be asked back. So that would mean.
Well, maybe Rodney and Joe go back to back, and both of them get asked back, and then Mike, and then Jen or Haley go. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, at this point, anything that happens in this season, I won't be shocked. I think Shireen might be asked back.
I'm saying with the
Shireen
voting,
goes.
I'm just trying to think of the voting schedule. If it's going to be announced at the reunion show, they're going to have to announce it before.
Yeah.
No, it's like a week or 2 of voting. So, okay, well, once we have details on that, we will do a podcast on that. Until then, we'll podcast as usual on Wednesday after the episode, probably 15, 20 minutes after the episode, once we score the bootless game. Thank you for listening.